Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a glorious Tuesday. To wake up and have this great morning. Some of you getting up and getting ready to go out and hit the field, and come into this glorious day to be in business and grow your business. And so I got a question that was submitted. It said, Paul, you've done this? And I've done this on the Electrician Live that me and Jay used to do, but I get this question a lot. It's, Paul, I'm starting a business, and I want to know what's the most cost-effective way to start to grow my business and get new customers. Okay, that's a great question for anybody out there who's getting ready to start in business as an electrical contractor, and you want to say, well, how do I get new customers? Because that's the thing, right? It's easy to start the business. You get the business license. You say you're a master electrician. You get what you need from your state. Get all the paperwork done. But at the end of the day, if you got no money coming in, you got no business, then it's tough. So let's assume that you're starting a business that might be something that I recommend to people starting out is to really get into the service end of it before you try to take on customers, building, because you're going to have to start bidding and get used to the bidding process and all that. And I'll probably talk about that, bidding and estimating and all that in future podcasts about the mobile. But we're talking advertising, and one of the best ways that you can advertise on a budget is you've heard me talk about our Tradies apps, and I get it, and the black dot NFC and all that stuff. But that's kind of for established customers, and that's something you can use with a physical marketing campaign. So I'm not going to talk about that. Let's talk about the inexpensive way to maximize your efforts when you're starting out as a small mom and pop or 1 and 2, or maybe you're starting out yourself. And maybe you're doing a side hustle, right? Maybe you're just starting out on your own, and you just want to do some weekend night work or whatever. You're not ready to go full bore yet, or maybe you are going full bore, but you just got to start generating customers. Well, a couple ways to do that. The first thing that I would recommend you do is to go to somewhere like a Vistaprint and look at door hangers or flyers. Now, I don't mean full page flyers. I'm thinking more of a card, the heavier stock kind of that actually, I recommend the ones that actually hang on the doorknob. Sometimes, but to get that kind of template, it can cost a little more. But usually Vistaprint is one of the cheapest methods, unless you have a local printer who's just willing to throw you such a deal. I found that Vistaprint allows me to buy 300 and 400 at a pop, that type of thing, at very effective prices. Now, if you're going to do a lot more than that, there are some wholesale printers that you can go to, but I find Vistaprint probably as cost effective as anything. Now, when you get that flyer, obviously make sure, and here's where people make a big mistake, and I see this on flyers. Food companies do this all the time. They don't use both sides of the flyer. You need to pay to have both sides printed, because you need to make sure that one side offers your special, what you're really searching for, what's the key focus, and then the other side is all of your services that you can provide them. You have to be, and in the bottom portion of it, you want something, if you can, that they can cut off, whether it's perforated or it just has a little symbol that shows that you can cut it off as a business card or whatever. They may or may not do that. And the different template offerings from the different things like Vistaprint will dictate that. But what you want to do is you want to go on and just take like a Google Earth or whatever you have to be able to look at your city or your area and find the subdivisions that are very dense. In other words, that you can hit, and you can hit a bunch of houses in that area to be, efficient with your time. And it's going to be some legwork, but again, that's your business. You're building it up. It's just a grassroots way of starting. And what you want to look for, two different approaches here. You want to look for subdivisions that are at least 5 to 10 years old, preferably closer to 10 years old. Okay, the houses. Because usually by that time they're going to want new luminaires hung or ceiling fans hung, or they have some receptacles, or they want to add something, or they've been in the house long enough. They're like, well, I'd sure like to have, this added or that, or maybe smart home or smart switches or something. Okay, and so you appeal to that, and that's the 10-year. Now, if you're somewhere like Colorado, let's say where Jay is, and let's say that they do a lot of basements, so you're in an area where there's a lot, like I'm in Texas, there's not a lot of basements here. That wouldn't be their focus. But if you're in an area where they have a lot of basements and you have new construction and subdivisions, then you can approach the new construction homes within the last year or two, homes that are built within the last 1 or 2 years. In those subdivisions, you can approach it, but your advertising is different. You're not advertising a fresh up or repairs, or you're trying to advertise finishing off basements, adding things like EV vehicle charging. You're trying to appeal to like smart homes, adding in full home automation. It could be as simple as Alexa devices and smart switches, that type of thing. It could be that type of thing. So you have to tailor your marketing to the area you're going to. I remember back when I started, I did do the kind of like the Vistaprint deal. And it worked also when I came out here in Texas back in 2014. And I still wanted to continue on with my electrical contracting, even though I had the academy going and starting and all this other stuff that I was doing. I was like, I'm an electrician. I need to keep it going. And so, but I didn't want a whole lot of work anymore. It wasn't like when I was back in Virginia and a contractor. I didn't want all that. So I kind of did the door hanging and actually paid some young guys to go do the door hanging for me. As a trust element, right? Rather than they take them and just throw them in the trash. There was that trust element there. But anyway, they were some honest dudes, and they door hung some subdivisions for me. And I did get calls for things like ceiling fans and replace luminaires and fix circuits that weren't working or broke, or had some switch. It allowed you to seed some money into your company, and the return on investment was higher because people kept it, right? Now, the beautiful thing is, obviously, with now is my black dot NFC. I could have put my black dots on everything, and they could have just scanned their phone, and they could have gotten my app or our website or my profile that we make. They could have gotten all that instantly, which would be great, because once you get on their phone, that's golden when you get on somebody's phone, right? That's the holy grail, is if you can get them to put your app on their phone so that you can be in contact with them, whether it's through PWA notifications or whatever. But that's a whole different story. But it's the marketing, grassroots marketing. Now, if you want to focus on commercial, that's the same thing. What I would do if you want to do commercial work, if that's what you want to do, is that you go to shopping centers, right? Not the individual businesses out where you see just freestanding buildings. I mean, you could do that, but if I'm going big bang for my buck, I'm going to outside shopping centers where there's 20 shops in one big shopping mall, a system, okay? And I'm going to hit each of the merchants there with a flyer or with the door hanger type of thing, and offer my services. And they might, they're probably just going to be the help staff, and they might not even take it or whatnot. But at least it's busy. You're able to give them something, and yeah, there's going to be the same kind of click-through rate, if you will, that you get online advertising. I mean, some people are going to just toss it, and some people are going to take it to heart and utilize it. It's just a roll of the dice. But that's why you use cheap printing services. You try to keep the cost down. I like the door hangers simply because it makes it easy to hang on the door. And it's just, hang over the doorknob. That's it. And again, Vistaprint does about as cost effective. Although you can do a Google search for affordable door hanger printing or whatever, you'd be surprised what you'll find. In some cases, you might be able to buy them in bulk. Now, I never did massive bulk because I was always changing up my ads, seeing what would work, that type of thing. So you can do it differently however you want, but that is probably the most cost-effective way to try to start business. And in service business, doing service calls, you don't have to have a lot of investment. Now, obviously, having well laid out pack outs and the supplies you need in your vehicle means you don't have to make wasted trips is where you're going to lose money. Obviously, having to run back and forth from supply houses, that wouldn't be good. But to get started, it allows you to at least get out there and get your information at people's homes. And then you can kind of field the questions that come in with price, like, hey, I'm interested in your service. Okay, what do you got? And then they can tell you, and then you kind of will know what your plan of attack is. Like they say, well, I'd like to have I have a couple switches that aren't working. Okay. Then you're going to build that factor in because you have no idea what you need. So you're going to have to look at it. You're going to have to troubleshoot. Right? And then you're going to have to go get the supplies you need. I mean, you don't know if it's the switch or it's the circuit, so some of the things are just, like that, right? And so it just is what it is. But that's the easiest way to kind of break into it is do some service work. The other thing that we talk about on previous shows that people don't is, and it's not the same at every place, but if you do use Home Depot, make sure that if you're buying supplies from Home Depot that you sign up for their Home Depot Pro thing. Because if you're going to be earning points and you want to sign up for points, you want to make sure that it counts towards something. And they have a great referral program. When we started out, we got quite a bit of business just from the Home Depot referrals. They would send us people that would go there to buy a ceiling fan or something, and they would recommend that they didn't want to hang it, and so Home Depot would recommend us. And it wasn't an individual at Home Depot; it just happens through their system, okay, depending on where you're at, and they select you, and you know. So I mean that worked quite well, although it remind you, it does take, I can't remember, it's like 70 points per referral, and whether you accept it or not, you still lose the points. So the best thing is if you get referred is that you plan on taking the project, otherwise you're going to lose the points anyway. But there were points you got anyway because you bought supplies from Home Depot. Point is, they generate leads for you. Now, other people ask me, what about things like Angie's List and all those other things? I'm not a big fan of those because they're shopping you against everybody else, and yet you still pay for it. I don't like that. I think that the money you spend on those, that you can organically create your own interest by doing flyers. And yeah, it might take you a day of your time walking a neighborhood. One, the exercise is good. Two, you can pay people to do that, okay? And three, it's just the most cost-effective way to know that you're hitting somebody's residence, and they're going to have to look at it. Now, don't put it in their mailbox, okay? That's against the law, right? So don't do that. You're basically hanging it on their door. And remember, if they have a no soliciting sign, don't leave anything on their door, okay? It's just not what it's going to. Not going to do that. What the hell's the problem here? So again, that's one of the key things to remember is that you've got to get out there and work your business. And I think that's the most important thing to realize is getting out there and working your business. Okay? All right, folks, that's all I've got for today. Get out there, get those marketing things going. Again, if you want it to be successful, you got to make it work yourself. So get out there and make it work. All right, folks, until next time, stay safe. God bless, and make sure you join us for our Thursday night episode where we do the Master the NEC Live. Join us and make sure you listen to our podcasts. And if you're a student, make sure you join us on Wednesday nights for a Fast Tracks program. Until next time, stay safe, folks. And just a kind of things to think about when it comes to growing your business. Get out there, make it happen. Till next time, God bless.